Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Uncivilized Adventures. Today, I want to talk about what is in my day hiking bag. This has been done by a ton of people before, and I can't say I have anything really of new or super value to add to it, but this is what I carry, and I want to talk about it because I had a friend of mine at work tell me that my videos had inspired them to take up hiking. And they were putting their gear together and they weren't sure what they needed. They wanted some suggestions. I thought this would be a great way to do it. I'm in Southern California. We have good weather most of the time. So my kit is a little bit different than what you might find out back east or up north, somewhere else. So this is what we hike with here. This is what I hike with here, and I'm just going to go through it. I'll tell you a little bit about how often I may use it or not, how super relevant it may or may not be to me, and anything else that I can add to it. Let's start out with the pack. This is just a small REI pack. Nothing fancy, it's just a bag. Lightweight. Water bottle carrier here, and I can drop my cell phone in here. That's about it. Minimal shoulder strap support. This is what I take when I'm just going out for a day. I don't anticipate any problems or any delays, and I absolutely fully expect to be home within an hour to 5-6 hours, maybe at the most. So starting off at the top here, I always take a knife with me, some sort of knife. I've got a ferrocerium rod on here as well, so that I do have the ability to make fire. If you guys are putting something together, any knife will work. You want to have some ability to cut, to whittle, whatever you might need that for. But a small folding knife will be just fine. I know that runs kind of counter to the modern outdoors thought, but any knife will do you just fine. Second thing I have, lighter. I do have the ferrocerium rod to start a fire, but this is always going to be easier and quicker, and since it's just going with me on a day pack, probably not even going to need it at all, but I have it just in case. Space blanket. This is in case I run into trouble. It's going to keep me warm, not necessarily going to keep me dry. It'll keep the rain off me, but these things are notorious for holding in condensation. If this is wrapped around you, you're probably going to be wet just from your own heat coming off you and bouncing back in the form of water droplets. It sits in my pack in one of the small pockets. There's a little pocket on the inside, doesn't really go anywhere, never used. And I will also say, when you buy those, they do have a shelf life. I pulled one out a while back and unwrapped it, probably had it for like 10 years. Unwrapped it for the first time, and all the mylar was stuck to itself, and it peeled off to like a piece of cellophane. So make sure you rotate those through every so often. They're dirt cheap. You get them for a couple bucks. Along the same lines as that, I take a heavyweight garden size contractor grade trash bag with me. For one, it allows me to pick up trash on the way out if I want to, and believe me, I've unfortunately filled a bag like this on the way out. But the other thing it allows me to do is make shelter. This is a great makeshift, fairly sturdy tarp, and you can definitely make shelter with it. You can get up inside it, put it over you as a rain poncho, or use it just as a cover. Lots of uses for a trash bag. It also sits there and the bag hardly ever gets used. So I also have that with me just in case. Part of the just in case, some cordage. This is paracord. It's probably, I don't know, 50, 100 feet. Happens to be one that I haven't even used yet, but in case I need to make shelter, in case I need to hang something up for whatever reason, I have this. I would encourage you, if you're going to carry shelter making equipment, practice with it. Learn how to set it up, and learn how to set it up quickly, because if you need it, you probably need it quickly. Little extra thing I carry with me. This is probably 10, 15 feet of duct tape, just rolled up into a little thing here. You can burn it, burns really well. You can peel off pieces and use it as tape. You can use it as a bandage. Lots of uses for duct tape. So that's another emergency items. If you haven't noticed, what I'm showing you so far has a lot to do with emergency equipment. And that's because you get stuck out there, you want to have a few things to help you get through the night, get through the day, whatever the case may be. You want to be warm, you want to have a fire, you want to be able to maybe prepare some food if need be, and you need a little bit of equipment for that. Now, you could theoretically get rid of a lot of this or most of this if you're not worried about those things. Maybe you're on a heavily traveled trail and you're not the last person in or out. Then you might think twice about it. But where I like to hike up in the San Gabriel range, it's the real deal up there. You can get way back in there and you can be the only person there. That's the way I like to hike. So I want to have a few extra support items with me if possible. To that end, some kind of flashlight. This is a headlamp. And I like the headlamp because it allows me to put the light where I'm looking, and it allows me to use my hands. If I have to set up a shelter, if I have to make a fire, whatever it is I'm doing, even if I'm just walking, the headlamp is pointing in the direction that I want to go, where my feet are going to go, so I don't get hurt, and that leaves my hands free to hold my hiking stick or my trekking poles. So whatever light you choose, they're really small, they're super cheap and affordable. Grab one, maybe even grab two just in case. Compass. If you're going to carry a compass, know how to use it. And have the map that goes with it. A compass does you no good if you don't have a map of your area. And it does you no good if you don't know how to use it. So learn how to use that compass, go out and practice some orienteering skills. This is one of my compasses. It's not my only compass, and it's probably not even the compass that I use the most. The one that I use the most is on my wrist on my Garmin, and that's got maps in it. It's got sometimes it's got my hiking route. It's tracking me and will give me a return path if I needed. But when that thing runs out of batteries, this thing's always going to work. This just happens to be a sewing kit. Sometimes if I want to even travel lighter, I'll just carry a needle with a little bit of thread wrapped around a pencil or something. But a sewing kit, I can fix my clothes, I can fix my bag. Lots of little uses. That one has some buttons and clips and clasps in it. So it's not something I use all the time, hardly ever use it at all. If it's something that I can fix at home, I'll usually take it home and fix it. But if a strap on my pack breaks, I'm going to sit down and sew it up. Next up, first aid kit. Carry some kind of first aid kit. Band-Aids, aspirin, whatever medication you might need. I think in here I've got some chapstick and some sunscreen, which are probably far more important than the Band-Aids themselves. Have a little bit bigger kit that has some trauma gauze and quick clot, things like that. But for the most part, just a little kit here for cuts and bruises and scrapes. Bandanas. Bandanas are fantastic. They have a multitude of uses. You can go on YouTube and look around for 101 ways to use a bandana. Uh, Most common one being just to wipe the sweat off your brow. But you can put it over your head to keep the sun off you. You can use it as a sling. You can use it as a bandage. You can filter water through it. All kinds of things you can do with a bandana. So this is just your regular bandana. Nothing fancy about it. Normal size. This one here, a little bit bigger. I use this to cover the ground if I need to open up my pack. So this one's really big. A lot of times I'll wear it around my shoulders or my neck to keep the sun off my neck, or in the front if I need to keep something over my face for whatever reason. Works really great. The smaller bandana works just as well also. What else? Water. Now, I did say this is just a day hike. I'm just going to carry my water bottle. Nothing fancy. It's about as light as you can get. And if I know that I have a water source available, I'm hiking along a stream or there's springs along the way, I will bring my filter. Most of the time I bring my filter, but I will particularly bring my filter so that I don't have to carry extra water. I'd much rather filter and drink spring water along the way. So this is all I'm going to take most of the time. If I'm going up above the tree line and there's no water, no springs, obviously I'm going to pack more water, pack the appropriate amount of water. I'm going to carry multiple water bottles if I'm up above the tree line, or if I'm going somewhere where water is scarce, I need to bring my own. Now, again, if you're taking a water filter, know how to use it. Know how to use it safely so you're not splashing contaminated water into your clean bottle, whatever the case may be. Make sure you take care of your sanitation for your water, your purifier. It needs to be cleaned every now and then. There's a whole bunch on the market. Get the one that's right for you, and you'll be all set there. Next up, getting down to the kind of the nitty gritty. Right here, a little hip pack, belt pouch. Sits on my belt like this most of the time. If I see anything cool, I want to put it in my pack. I don't want to put it in my backpack right away, or maybe I don't want to unsling my backpack. Hanging right here in my pocket. I've put wild onions in here, put berries in here. Sometimes I just collect rocks. And it goes in the bag until I've decided what I'm going to do with it. So this just sits on my hip nice and out of the way, not a problem at all. This is what I would call an optional item. Another optional item I like to take with me just for fun is my slingshot. And although you can use stones, river stones and whatnot, I like to take these little biodegradable clay balls. And I suppose in a survival situation, if you're stuck out there, you might be able to take some small game, and since you're able to make a fire, you have some actual food. Let's talk about food. If I'm going for the day, I'll take some snacks. I might take some instant coffee in a coffee cup with a small alcohol fuel stove to make a boiling pot of water. Lightweight snacks for me, maybe a couple noodles, maybe a little bag of soup if it's cold and I want that creature comfort. It's important to have something with you. You want to stay fueled, but it's nice to have something warm when you're relaxing, if you're stuck somewhere, get a little bit of calories in you, replace some of those depleted salts, and it gives you something to do. Calm your mind, get yourself in order, have a little meal, have a warm cup of tea or coffee or something like that, and then figure out how to get yourself out of the problem. Where I go can be very rocky and gravelly, so I will take some gaiters. These are nothing fancy, super cheap, just regular old gaiters. Strap them around the top of my pants and around my boots so that gravel doesn't go down my shoes and socks all the time. I'll also take a pair of gloves with me frequently, mostly just because if I'm walking and I'm cold, I want to have warm hands. Maybe if I'm fishing, these are fingerless, so I can tie things on the fishing line. But if you're cutting through bushes, bushwhacking or something like that, it's nice to have a pair of gloves. A good pair of leather gloves would be best. They're going to be nice and durable. Last but not least, trekking poles. These don't necessarily go in my pack, but they are with me very often. I'm not a big fan of trekking poles. These just open up, they're adjustable. I even have a little like a camera mount on here. They're not my favorite thing because they're in your hands. I like to have my hands free for whatever I need my hands for. But if you're going uphill, if you're going downhill, you got bad knees, bad back, they do provide support. They work pretty good. Walking stick, hiking stick can do the same thing, but two of these is in a lot of ways better than a single hiking stick. You can take one of these if you want and get by, but try them out if you have never used them before. They're super inexpensive. I'm all for buying the cheap ones, and if they get destroyed, you just get another pair. These things get bent, they break, tips fall off and bend. So get a cheap pair, try them out and see what you think. You just want to make sure that they lock sturdy enough that they don't collapse when you lean on them. So that's it. That's what I carry when I go out on a day hike. Depending on the weather, I'm going to have some base layers, maybe a puffer jacket that I can scrunch up and stick in my pack if I don't need it. I'm usually wearing pants that convert to shorts, and if I'm going to be doing stream crossings, I'll take a pair of sandals with me as well, something that I can easily hang off the back of my pack, and I will switch back and forth. I don't really care for walking in wet shoes and socks, so I try to avoid that whenever possible. And the sandals are great if you're overnighting in camp, just to put some sandals on and let your feet breathe a little bit. So that's my list. If you have things that you take, let me know about it. I'd love to hear what you do that's different than what I do. Hiking season is coming up here in Southern California year round, but I'm not a great cold weather hiker, so I wait till it warms up a little bit and get ready for it. So to my friend that asked, this is what I take. Mix and match to make it your own, but make sure you have those essentials in some form so that you can stay out of trouble, stay hydrated, stay fed, and give yourself the means to get out of trouble if something happens.